Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Ashwin Joglikar and I am from Resonance PCCP division. I am a faculty of social science. Today we are going to start a topic of history of your class 7th, that is devotional paths to the divine or the religious movements. Now as we will see in the introduction itself, that is how different religious movements were shaping up in the country, and precisely to name them were the Bhakti movements and the Sufi movements. Now Bhakti tradition is related more of Hinduism, towards more of Hinduism, as well as and Sufi movements were related to the Islamic movements. Okay, so here you can see that is the Bhakti movement started in South India, that is in the 8th century. Okay, 8th century, and then we have Sufi movements, that is 11th century, then Moinuddin Chishti, Kabir and Guru Nanak. Alright, coming to the first part, that is introduction of it. Now people perform rituals of worship or singing bhajans, kirtans or kavalis, or even repeating the God's name in silence. Name of God in silence, and even some of them are moved to tears. That's like an overwhelming joy which they have, which comes from inside. Such intense devotion or love of God is the legacy of various kinds of Bhakti and Sufi movements that have evolved in India since 18th century. Now first of all, the first topic we'll deal with is the idea of a supreme God. Now before large kingdoms emerged, different groups of people worshipped their own gods. They worship their own gods. Okay, and goddesses. As people were brought together through the growth of towns, trade and empires, new ideas began to develop. The idea that all living beings pass through countless cycles of birth and rebirth. Countless cycles of birth and rebirth. Performing good deeds and bad came to be widely accepted. Now this idea was accepted, that is in this sansar, in this world, we are performing good as well as bad deeds, and according to our good or bad deeds, we will again be reincarnated on this world or in this world, and we will have that next life according to the deeds which we had performed previously. Similarly, the idea that all human beings are not equal even at birth gained ground during this period. The belief that social privileges came from birth, that is a noble family or high class or high caste, was the subject of many learned texts. Many people were uneasy with such ideas, and therefore they turned to the teachings of Buddha and Jainism, that is Mahavira. This you have again studied in your class 6th. According to which it was possible to overcome social differences and break the cycle of rebirth through personal effort. Others felt attracted to the idea of supreme God who could deliver humans from such bondage if approached with love, devotion or bhakti. This idea, advocated in the Bhagavad Gita, grew in popularity in early centuries of the Common Era, CE. Shiva, Vishnu and Durga are some of the prominent deities who were worshipped here, again through elaborate rituals. At the same time, the gods and goddesses worshipped in different areas came to be identified with Shiva, Vishnu and Durga. In the process, local myths and legend became a part of the Puranic stories, the Puranas, and the method of worship recommended in the Puranas was introduced in the local cults. Eventually, the Puranas also laid down that it was possible for devotees to receive the grace of God regardless of their caste status. So again, that is, it was possible for the devotees to receive the grace of God regardless of their caste status. That is, even a person from the low caste can achieve God. The idea of bhakti became so popular that even Buddhists and Jainas also adopted some of these beliefs. Now this brings us to the first part, that is, you can see the map here, it shows different important saints, starting from here: Guru Nanak, then Dadu, Mirabai, Narsimha Mehta, Gyaneshwar, Namdev, Eknath, Tukaram, Basavana, Purandar Das, Ramdas, Surdas, Ramanand, Kabir, Raidas, Vallabhacharya, Tulsidas, Chaitanya Dev, Shankara Dev, and Manikava Sagar, Ramanuj and Namal Alvar. Now Now Bhakti movement. Now Bhakti movement is related to more of the Hindu or Hindu thought. That is, new religious movement evolved during the 7th and the 9th centuries. These movements were led by Nayanars, that is saints who are devoted or who were devoted to Shiva, the worship of Shiva, and Alvars, the saints who were devoted to the worship of Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. The Nayanars and Alvars, again they came from all castes, including those who were called untouchables, like the Pulayars and the Pannars. They preached ardent love of Shiva and Vishnu as the path to salvation, and they propagated the ideals of love and heroism as found in also in the Sangam literature. That is the earliest example of Tamil literature, and added them with values of bhakti. So that is, they were mixed ideals of love and heroism, and they were added with the idea of bhakti, values of bhakti. They wrote in Tamil, that is local dialects, languages of those time, regional languages, to enable the common man to understand the simplicity behind the teachings and ideals. So that was one of the most important things, that these saints were talking, or they were composing their songs, or they were singing in the local dialects or local regional languages, so that even a common man could understand what they are teaching or what they are preaching. The Nayanars and Alvars went from place to place, composing executive poems in praise of the deities and singing them, worshipping them. The Chola kings also built temples at the places visited by these saints. Now there were 63 Nayanars who belonged to different caste backgrounds. Again, potters, untouchable workers, peasants, hunters, soldiers, Brahmins and chiefs. But the best known among them were Appar, Sambandar, Manikava Sagar, and there were 12 Alvars, worshippers of Vishnu, and Nayanars, worshipper of Shiva, who came from equally again divergent backgrounds, that is from different backgrounds, and most popular were Periyavalar, his daughter Andal, Tondara Dipodi Alvar, and Namalvar. Okay. Now bhakti or devotion brought the bhakti saints closer to the truth and God, and most of them were poor, illiterate and of low caste, but they knew they did not have to be great scholars to reach God and to feel His presence. So that is what they wanted to advocate to the common man as well, that you do not need to know or be literate to know God. Now here we come to the part that where different bhakti saints have been mentioned here. Okay, so first we will just go through the names, that is Ramanuj, then Ramanand, Kabir, Namdev, Guru Nanak, Vallabhacharya, Chaitanya and Mirabai were some of the great reformers of the bhakti movement, or saints of the bhakti movement. Now Ramanuj was born in a town near Madras, that is present day Chennai. He preached the worship of Vishnu, and he also had many followers in South India. Ramanand was born at Allahabad in a Brahmin family. He was the first reformer to preach in Hindi, and he preached in the north, and one of his disciples was Kabir. Kabir was the most popular reformer of the bhakti movement. He was a weaver by profession, that he used to live. His profession was weaving. He had firm faith in the Hindu-Muslim unity, and also he had followers from both the Hindus as well as the Muslims. And thousands of his disciples came from both of these communities. He believed in the Nirguna form of bhakti, that is without form, Nirgun bhakti. He was a famous disciple of, and he was a disciple of Ramanand. His couplets or doha are still recited everywhere in India, and we can also see, you will find the Kabir ke dohe in your Hindi textbooks also. Now Sant Gyaneshwar, also known as Gyaneshwar, began the bhakti movement in Maharashtra, and he wrote a commentary on Bhagavad Gita in Marathi. Namdev was a Marathi saint again. He preached oneness of God, that God is one for all the religions, and he had many Muslim followers as well. Now other prominent bhakti saints of Maharashtra were Sant Tukaram and Ramdas. Guru Ramdas was particularly very popular. He had a great influence on Chhatrapati Shivaji as well. Guru Nanak was an important bhakti saint. and we'll be talking about Guru Nanak as well as Kabir in a much more detailed way in the later part of the chapter. We have already learned earlier that he was the founder of the Sikh faith in India, and he was born at Talwandi in West Punjab. His teachings were later collected in the Guru Granth Sahib. Then Vallabhacharya was born in a Brahmin family near Banaras. He preached the worship of Lord Krishna, and he said that there is no difference between the Atma and the Paramatma, that is the soul and the ultimate soul. Such a doctrine is called Advait philosophy. There are different branches of philosophy, and one of them is Advait philosophy. Now Chaitanya was born in Nadia in AD 1485. He was a devotee of Lord Krishna and preached universal brotherhood and love. He made Vaishnavism very popular in Bengal, Assam and Odisha. Mirabai was a Rathore princess. She was married to Rana Sanga's eldest son Bhojraj. From her childhood, she was a great devotee of Krishna, and her devotional songs are very Meera ke bhajan, right? Her devotional songs are very popular even today. She contributed a lot in popularizing the Bhakti movement, especially in the North India. The Narsimha Mehta, he was from Gujarat, also known as Narsimha Mehta. He popularized the Bhakti movement in Gujarat. His songs in Gujarati depicting divine love of Radha and Krishna are still very popular among the masses. Then Surdas and Tulsidas. Were also great saint poets. Surdas was a devotee of Krishna and Tulsidas worshipped Ram. The poems of Surdas was later compiled as Sursagar. Tulsidas is the author of Ramcharitmanas and many other works including Hanuman Chalisa. Shankar Dev in Assam was a great religious reformer. He believed in absolute devotion to Vishnu and his incarnation of Krishna. That is, Vishnu has taken different incarnations. He made Vaishnavism very popular in Bengal region, Assam and Odisha. Now, development of some of the smaller cults, that is, first is Vira Vaishnism. This period also saw the development of some smaller cults like Vira Shaivism, Nath Panthis, Siddhas and Yogis. Now, Vira Shaivism, it became popular in or became active in the region of Karnataka in the mid 12th century. It was initiated by Basavana and many of his companions like Alama Prabhu and Akka Mahadevi. The advocates of this movement laid emphasis on equality of all human beings, that is, all human beings are equal. It was a sort of reactionary movement against the Brahminical ideas that were prevalent at that time about caste and caste system, about caste and treatment of women. It laid emphasis on equality of all human beings and preached against all form of rituals and idol worship. So they were against all kind of rituals as well as idol worship. Alright, moving to the next part, that is Nath Panthis, Siddhas and Yogis. So Nath Panthis, Siddhas and Yogis. Some other groups like those of the Nath Panthis, Siddhas and the Yogis emerged in different parts of northern India. They, by using simple language and forwarding logical arguments, tried to criticize ritualism, social order and some other aspects of conventional learning, traditional learning, religion that were being practiced in India. They were in favor of renunciation, to leave of the world. According to them, the path of salvation lay in meditation of the formless. Formless is again without form. Ultimate reality and realization of oneness with it. To realize this, they preached yogic exercises and intense training of the body and the mind. You have to train your body and mind, and then only you can achieve it. These groups are very popular among the low caste of northern India. Alright, so here we have completed the first lecture of this chapter, that is Devotional Paths to the Divine, and hope to see you in the next part of the this lecture. Thank you so much.